That's right. It's Monday night. Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network, CP3 coming to you live from the lab, Robbie G coming to you live from the Man Cave, bringing you episode 236 of Sports on the Hill podcast, the best DC sports coverage around. We had a rough week as a Nats fan, going 1-6 last week. It was so rough that I put out a salute to the 2019 World Champions video on our page and on my YouTube channel, just to try to make some of the fans feel better with the things that's transpired over these last couple of weeks with the team. Try to give a little bit of silver lining to this dark cloud that's over baseball nation in DC right now. But we definitely want to talk about that. We're also going to have some Washington football talk with a special guest. We should have Big Hurt of Hurt's House talking some training camp, ramping up for the first preseason game on Thursday night, which will be on NFL Network. And then we'll wrap up the 2020 Tokyo Olympics with Robbie and a couple of special guests that he has coming on tonight. But before we go there, you always got to say what's going on, Robbie G. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. I finally got back to Nationals Park and I got to witness a situation where the Nationals didn't lose. So I was there last night at the Hella Mega Awesome Tour. I can see I got the merch right there. But I had a good time. I got to finally see the big banner up on the wall right behind Weezer and Green Day as they played, which was pretty awesome, Carol, because I've seen the championship banner for the Capitals a few times, but I haven't been back, obviously, to Nats Park since we had won it all. And so it was really a cool thing. And I was out in the outfield, Carol. I was on top of the grass. I've never been on top of it. I mean, they have a thing on between you and the grass, so you don't mess up the grass. But like I'm right above it, so like it's pretty cool to be down there, and it was just kind of a dream come true. I've been on the field of all the other major arenas, in the area, and so it was one of the ones I had not been. Now Audi Field and FedEx Field are the two that I haven't, so I got to get to those at some point. But anyway, I had a good time at the concert. It was fun to see a show with so many people again, and it was awesome. I'm sorry that the Nationals didn't have better luck while they were on the road, obviously. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting week. Our goalie situation has been rectified. Last week we talked about trading to get Vitek Vanacek back, which is an incredible deal. And we weren't sold on Sammy being the number one, right, Carol? That's kind of how we felt. So we gave Sammy a deal that spoke to that. We gave him a prove it 2 mil 1 year contract and see if he does better.
I mean, like I said, I was upset when Double V, got picked up in the expansion draft. I was, glad we got him back for, a second round pick. And Samsonov, like I said, I'm not really sold on him. We saw some flashes, we saw some glimpses pre-COVID, and there's always that potential. And he's been in the system for a while, and obviously they're around him and know what he can do and know what he does better than we do because we're not at practice and everything. But yeah, I'm not really sold on him. But you got to excuse me, solidify that goalie's position. That's very key. We were spoiled by Braden Holtby, having him for a while and, having that security and knowing that, he's going to be in there locked in, most, if not 95, 99% of the time, he's going to be, in top form. But you don't have that feeling right now with these young goalies because they have to find their way just like Braden did. So I like what Double V did during the season last year in his rookie year when he was called into duty, unexpectedly. So that's why I've been, riding for him. But we're gonna see what Samsonov do. Like you said, that contract speaks to the confidence they have in him. It's like a prove it deal. If you're going to be the guy, this is your chance to prove it. If not, we already got somebody waiting in the wings to see if he's the guy.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. And the big question, I guess, is will there be a third guy in the mix? And like, do we kick the tires on Henrik Lundqvist and see what he can do? And his, just Yeah, so I'd mention to see this leaves the door possibly open. We don't have a ton of cap space. I was actually going to pull up the cap space for the Capitals now. It's very tight. I think it was within 2 million. I think. Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. Not even 668,000.
Wow.
So we'd have to probably move somebody to even fit him in. But maybe we give him a tryout or something. I don't know how that works. You just have to do the veteran minimum, and my guess is that's closer to 1 million. Although it might be. I haven't looked at the current one. It might be close to that. So
Well,
be interested.
hopefully these new contracts with ESPN, they can get the salary cap raised high for hockey because
I
it's
was
up to
listening.
the
Did you
people.
hear what the players were saying about that? That they were basically like they lost all this money and then they renegotiated after after all that. So like I heard the same thing with the NBA too, where they were like telling players that the amount of money that they were supposed to be making, is based on all the lost revenue, and then they all come out with new TV deals, and suddenly they don't look so bad. So because the TV deal should go up because people are watching on TV, which makes sense. But it's interesting because the leagues are not losing the money, but the players' salaries, they're hitting a ceiling, which brings me back to baseball being such a weird sport, right? The fact that you could just keep on spending, but where in hockey it's so tight, like you have to be cap compliant, except for in the playoffs where Tampa Bay can somehow be like 13 million over and win the Stanley Cup, but that's not here nor there. But anyway,
It's for the rich, man. Loopholes for the rich.
yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'm happy that we'll have the tandem back for another year. We'll see what they could do. They're really bringing the band back together, not bringing a whole lot of new pieces. We can see if Laviolette does better with the second season, which historically he has done better in the second season with a similar team. So we'll see if it pays off. It'll be a more regular season where they don't play the same teams over and over again, which will be really nice. And we'll see what happens next. But I'm excited, obviously, to Ovi and the rest of the team back, and so we'll talk hockey soon. All right, well, that's all the hockey talk I have. I'll let you quickly go through some of the baseball stuff, and then maybe an abbreviated Nats talk segment because I know that they didn't do so well this week. And then when our special guest comes on, we can talk a little bit of football with him.
No doubt, no doubt. Let me get things situated over here. I'm gonna try to run through this horrible 1-6 week as quickly as possible. I was going to share it to some groups. I'm not even going to share it. It's a bad week.
Yeah,
Past week that is.
I'll share it to a couple of groups while you're talking.
Yeah, the Nationals actually are sitting right now 50 and 62, 12 games under 500. Fourth in the East. They're 3-7 in the last 10 games. They're 6 games, 6.5 behind the Mets, 6 games behind Atlanta, and 8 games behind Philly, who has now taken over first place in the NL East after being fueled by the 4-game sweep that they put on the Nets last week up in Philly. Um, yeah, it wasn't pretty at all. And the fact that Bryce Harper played a key role in 2 of those games, 2 of those victories, didn't make it any better.
Oh, Carol, I was also thinking we can bring in Arun to talk baseball with you as well. So if you want, we can do that as well.
You go ahead and bring in a room because yeah, I'm definitely gonna need some help with this sad segment that we're about to get into with this 1-16. Um, yeah, it was a ugly sweep to the Phillies. First game was a 7-5 loss. Uh, Archie Bailey earned the victory that puts him to 6-1. He went an inning and 2/3, gave up 1 hit, no runs, with 1 strikeout and no walks. Uh, Gabe Klobositz, that's the guy that was imploding when we were watching the game. This game was actually on during the show last week. He was in the game for an inning. He took the loss that drops him to 0-1. He gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs with no strikeouts and no walks. Ryan Zimmerman had an RBI single, a pinch hit. Andrew Stevenson had a pitch hit solo home run. And Carter Kaiboom had a 2-run pinch hit home run to make the game look respectable late. But the bullpen gave up 5 runs in the ninth to yeah. kind of put things upside down for the Nats. They were able to get 2 runs in the bottom, but weren't able to. I mean, in the top, but weren't able to come back. Um, Second game was a 5-4 loss. Zach Wheeler earned the victory for the Phillies. That put him at 9-6. He went 7 1/3, giving up 8 hits, 4 runs with 5 strikeouts and a walk. Patrick Corbin took the loss. That drops him to 6-10. He went 7 innings, giving up 6 hits, 4 runs with 8 strikeouts and one walk. And Jose Alvarado earned his fourth save uh, by going 1 inning, giving him no hits, no runs with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Josh Bell went 1 for 4 with a 2-run home run, and Trace Barrera had an RBI ground out for RBI in the game. Also, Game three was a 9-5 loss. Matt Moore earned the victory that put him at 1-3. He went 4 innings, giving up 3 hits, 2 earned runs with 3 strikeouts and no walks. Paolo Espino took the loss that drops him to 3-3. He went 5 innings, giving up 8 hits, 6 earned runs with 3 strikeouts and a walk. Luis Garcia went 2 for 4 with 2 solo home runs. Uh, Kai Boom went 2 for 4 with the solo home run and the RBI single. And Victor Robles in his new leadoff role, which isn't definitely isn't his strong suit right now. He went 1 for 3 with a solo home run. Um, yeah, we really miss our leadoff guys. That's all I can say about that. Got to set the table for the big guys to eat. We've been seeing a lot of solo home runs, but got to get some players and runners on base to get some. You do get these home runs to add to it, and that's been the Nats' problem. Getting consistent offense. And the final game of the series, where the Nats were trying to salvage, found a way to lose this game, 7-6. Mauricio Lo, I'm gonna try to pronounce this. Lovera, I think that's it. I'm gonna say that's it. Got the victory for the Phillies. That put him at 1-0. He went an inning, giving up no hits, no runs, no strikeouts, and no walks. Kyle Finnegan took the loss. That drops him to 4-3. He went an inning, giving up 3 hits, 4 runs, none of those earned, with 1 strikeout and no walks. And Archie Bradley earned his second save, going an inning, giving up 2 hits, 1 run, not earned, with no strikeouts and no walks. Josh Bell went 3 for 5 with a 3-run home run and an RBI single. And Carter Kieboom went 2 for 4 with a RBI single. This game, uh, Finnegan, they put him in a closer role, which isn't his strong suit. He's still learning, with Hudson being traded and Brad Hand. The team doesn't have an official closer, but Finnegan, as I spoke about earlier in the season, was one of the more consistent middle relievers. When he came in, he handled his business. So they put him in that closer role, and unfortunately, this game it didn't work in our favor. Took the unfortunate sweep to the Phillies, which propelled them into their matchup later on in the week with the Mets, and they now taking over first place. Rune, did you get a chance to see any of this ugly 4-game sweep by the Phillies on the Washington Nationals? Because it was very hard to watch.
Yeah, I caught some of the series. Josiah Gray in the first game, he pitched pretty well. We only gave him 1 earned run, but only pitched 5 innings. And then I don't know how do you say Sitis, he blew the save, which was unfortunate. So I think maybe the Nats should rely more on Gray, pitch more than 5 innings. And then the second game, Bryce Harper hitting the homer off of Guerrero, second blown save. Corbin was not really pitching that well either, even though Zach Wheeler struggled. Josh Bell hit that 2-run homer. And then um, Rodriguez hit Hoskins with an up and pitch, and then Gregarious followed up with a 2-run homer. The good news was Garcia hit a 2-run homer, and he became the youngest national to do that since Juan Soto a couple years ago. But it's another game where the Nats bullpen struggled. They gave up 3 more earned runs, and yeah, a bad sweep to the Phillies. And the Phillies put themselves in good playoff positioning, and the Nats fell further behind.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much when they, sold everything, we knew what was pretty much going to happen. I was optimistic that the team could try to put something together, but with all the new pieces and folks getting used to being in these new positions, it's going to take a little bit of time, hopefully, until they can get some type of winning or some type of consistency going. Because only thing we've seen consistently is leads getting blown and things not getting taken advantage of when they have the opportunity and they have men on and men in scoring position and not taking advantage of it. Because that's definitely been the trend lately. They've been trying to get Zimmerman in the game more. Josh Bell has been playing well. He's at first base, and they've been getting Zim to come in the pinch hit late. He's been being effective in that, but I think we got to get there, find a way to get this guy in the lineup on a consistent basis to get his bat in there and his veteran leadership. To help with the pitchers, the way they're pitching the team now with all this young talent. It's a whole different ball game, and then with our pitching staff not having those, bailout aces like Max and Strasburg that we can go to, and Corbin's been inconsistent. This year he's like I said 6-10. It's just a ugly bad combination right now. But like I said, I put that video out to remember why we're here. That World Series championship in 2019. Robbie, I know you didn't say you didn't get to watch much Nats. Did you see any of this debacle or look at any of the highlights or any opinion on this?
Oh, none of the highlights, none of the nothing. They're kind of dead to me. They traded my favorite players, and their season was kind of over. I feel bad about that. I know we cover them, but I know that you'll cover them, and it's hard for me to get up and care. I've cared so much, and we had the Olympics, and we have all the other sports ran long this season, and I see Hertz here. Have you watched any baseball? Wait, he's
Might
muted.
still be muted.
Oh no!
There you go.
Oh, I have not watched any baseball.
Yeah.
I saw there was a bunch of trades, and I decided to get on FanDuel and bet against the Nationals since they traded everybody, and they won, and they lost me money.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a whole other story in itself. Well, let me go ahead and wrap up this nasty week that was, so we can get into some more pleasant things. We got Big Hurt in the house, talk some Washington football training camp, get some insight and some behind the scenes stuff, something he might have heard or might have seen. 3-game series against Atlanta. The Nats were able to get 1 out of 3. The first game was an 8-4 loss. Edgar Santana earned the victory for the Braves. I put him at 2-0. He went an inning. He went a third of an inning, giving up no hits, no earned runs with a strikeout. Eric Fetty took the loss. That drops him to 4-8. He went 4 2/3, giving up 8 hits, 5 runs. 4 of those earned with 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. Kai Boom went 1 for 4 with the RBI single, and Eric Fetty got his first career RBI with the sacrifice fly. The second game of the series is the lone victory of the week for the Nationals. It was a great victory. They definitely needed to end that 5-game losing streak. They won the game 3-2. Andres Machado earned the victory, his first career victory in the majors. That put him at 1-0. He went an inning, giving him no runs, no hits, with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Will Smith took the loss. That dropped him to 3-6. He went an inning, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs, no strikeouts and a walk. Kyle Finnegan earned his 3rd save of the season. He won the inning, giving up no hits, no runs, with no strikeouts and no walks. Josiah Gray, who Arun just mentioned, who the Nationals received in part of the deal for Max Scherzer, who's the 40th ranked major league prospect. He had his 3rd career start, and he went 5 innings, giving up 4 hits, 1 run in his first 10 strikeout performance. 10 Ks in 1 game. That was impressive. He was looked very good on the mound, so that's a pleasant surprise, for one of the key pieces of this team that we traded away, that we did get something back in return. Luis Garcia had an RBI ground out, and Riley Adams, who was also part of a trade for Brad Hand, who was a top-rated catcher prospect in the majors. I didn't see which number he was ranked. I didn't write that down, my bad. But he went 1 for 3 with a game-winning home run in the top of the 9th, a 2-run home run, his first major league hit and home run. So that was the bright spot of the week. I did a little video because I had a feeling that was going to be a lone bright spot, because the last game of the series, they found a way to lose it 5-4. Max Fried earned the victory. That puts him at 9-7. He went 6 innings, giving him 7 hits, uh, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, and one walk. Corbin took the loss. That drops him to 6-11. He went 6 innings, giving him 5 hits, 5 earned runs with 5 strikeouts and one walk. Uh, Chris Morton earned the save. That was his first of the season. He went an inning, giving him 2 hits, 1 earned run with 1 strikeout and no walks. Ryan Zimmerman had an RBI single and an RBI double, and Victor Robles went 1 for 5 with the RBI single. And that pretty much wraps up the week. Going into next week, starting tomorrow. Well, this week, starting tomorrow, they have a 3-game series with the Mets, and I forgot to write down that. I think it was 3-game series with Atlanta, I believe. I forgot to write it down. But a room, this 3-game series versus Atlanta, like I said, they was able to salvage one victory. The lone bright spot, two of the prospects that we got for the trade. That made me feel a little bit better. But did you get a chance to check out any of the series, and how did you feel about this 3-game set? And did you get a chance to see that 3-2 victory?
Yeah, Fetty in the first game, he struggled again. Now he has a fourth straight loss. But he got his first career RBI of the season. So good for Fetty doing something right. And Freddie Freeman was on fire. There's a huge call, the catcher's interference, which led to a 3-run rally, which was a turning point of the game. Yeah, Gray's pitched well again, second straight game with only 1 earned run. And as you mentioned, 10 strikeouts. And Riley Adams' homer up of Will Smith was a difference. And then Corbin, he also had his fourth straight loss, lost his fourth straight decision. And we're talking about maybe he could pitch better so they could trade him, but I don't think that's going to happen next season. So we'll see how that goes. And the Braves are a good team. The Nets could have actually maybe won 2 out of 3 with a little bit better pitching, but it is what it is.
Definitely agree. Definitely agree. Robbie, any thoughts on this before we get into the upcoming schedule and get into some Washington football talk?
Nope. I think we should wrap it up and talk about the week ahead, and then get to Hurt segment, because I know we've got a lot of segments that we got to still do tonight. So, but yeah, Nationals are pretty low on my priority list, but hopefully maybe a little higher next week. What does our upcoming schedule look like?
All right, we got 3 at the Mets starting tomorrow night, which is 7:10 start. Wednesday is a 7:10 start, and Thursday is a 12:10 start, which is, I don't know why it's an early afternoon game, but hey, maybe it can change the Nets' luck. And then they have 3, I believe, with the Braves coming here. Friday is a 7:05 start, Saturday is a 6:05 start, and Sunday is a 1:05 start. So hopefully the Nets can earn more than one victory next week, and give us something more pleasant to talk about during Nats talk. But without further ado, got Big Hurt sitting there chilling, waiting to drop some Washington football knowledge of what's going on. So Big Hurt, how's it going, man? It's been a while since we had you on, man.
I just realized in talking to you and just listening to you talk about the Nats, the only game I bet on them is the game that they won, and they would have lost every other game. So I'm really annoyed.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Yeah, they went 1-6 in the one game. Was the one you bet on that?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
kind of like with me and gambling. I don't gamble, because the one time I wouldn't gamble, everything I played didn't hit until somebody else played it. So I was like, it's not for me.
I usually have a rule about betting against the home team, but or even betting the home team, period. But I figured once they traded everybody away, they're no longer the home team, right? They're just the guys that play over there. Am I right?
Yeah, but the future looks, not as bad as some think. I'm hoping they can turn it around sooner rather than later. With Davey, being a manager and seeing what he did in that championship season, I think they got the right man for the job to get him to turn this thing around quickly. It won't have to go through that long lull of losing again.
One team I will be betting on this year is the Washington football team.
No doubt, no doubt. Great segue. So, Washington football team recently had a practice at FedEx Field where they allowed 20,000 fans to, check out the team, give them something to look at, and give the players, the feel of having the players back in the fans back in the stands, and playing in front of a live audience and everything. So, what's some of the things that you heard after that practice, and some of the things you heard coming out of training camp from the folks that
Well,
you talked to?
talking about that practice, the first thing I heard is that there is no quarterback competition. This is Ryan Fitzpatrick's team. That's the one thing that people need to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Some people hope that Heineke can get things done, and some people think that Allen, might be the guy. But the truth of the matter is, the only competition is for who's going to be number 2, and the winner of that competition is going to be the one that can stay healthy. We have 2 backup quarterbacks, and between the 2 of them, they have one good ankle. It's bad. It's someone called Heineke a chandelier the other day.
Oh wow!
And it's pretty bad. They said he was hobbling off. Both of his ankles hurt today. How do you hurt both your ankles at the same time? What's happening right now? But again, a few notes that I saw was one of my favorite notes was Fitzpatrick will throw game-ending interceptions. I don't know how I feel about that, but they said that he's slinging it down the field. He has a bunch of wide receivers to play with. He says this is the best team he's ever played with. He's playing with confidence. He's playing with a chip on the shoulder. He's playing with a swagger. I think they could get us out to a good lead, and that's going to be key because the back half of this schedule is murderer's row. I expect us to be far in first place by the bye week, and after that, who really knows? The biggest takeaway that I got from the practice was just the change in atmosphere. FedEx Field is a fun place to be again. There's there's like an aura of hope in the team this year. It's like hey, maybe this is something real. People are getting behind Chase Young. People are getting behind Gibson. They're getting behind what's being built here. This offseason had more good news than bad news. There's a headache when it comes to Brandon Sheriff. But compared to the headaches we've had to deal with over the last few years, that's an aspirin.
Hey.
And we'll be all right. Like, I like Brandon Sheriff. But if he wants $100 million, I'm like, I can think of 5 guys on the team right now in the next 2 years that need that money before him.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them are on the defensive line, and one of them's a wide receiver. It's just, I'm sorry, the culture change, the coaching making practice mean something. Practices mean something. You're going to see that preseason means something. We know with the last coach, I'm not going to say his name, but with the last coach, preseason was nothing but a glorified walkthrough. He didn't take it serious. His players didn't take it serious, which is why it always took us 3 or 4 games to get into the season going. And then, yeah. Whereas Ron Rivera, it's like, yo, we want to come out the box strong. We haven't seen our offense clicking in the first 3 or 4 games in a very long time. And I'm excited to see that happen. Not that Ron Rivera is an offensive genius, but I want the offense functioning. And the last thing I want to talk about from this practice was I saw a few people talk about it in the group, and then I saw a couple of tweets about it, was Tanya Snyder walking around amongst the fans, her presence being felt. She's making it clear that she's not a name that was there to be a placeholder for Dan to keep his spot while he goes and serves some imaginary suspension. She's here to be a presence on the team. She's here to be a presence in the building. And it gives you hope that this culture is changing.
I definitely agree. With Fitzpatrick, I'm optimistic because looking at his QBR rating and his quarterback rating the last few years, he's definitely improved on some of his thought process going down the field, not trying to force it and getting as many of those game-ending interceptions. And I think he's definitely going to help with Heineke and Allen, give them insight and more knowledge from all of him being a journeyman. Folks look at that as a bad thing. I look at it as the more experience you get in NFL, whatever, how many other teams means you as a quarterback, you've seen almost every defense imaginable. So you can diagnose it quicker and you can help teach others, to try to make the team better because they've seen it all and done it all because they've been around the league for a while. So
Right.
I'm definitely, on the Fitz wagon. I like Heineke. I've heard some, like you said, he injured both his ankles. They said he's been having some turnover issues, sometimes trying to force it. But this team is definitely in a good position right now, and I can't wait to see the product on the field to see how this team is going to come together. Like you mentioned, with the new pieces on offense, the additions on defense. Our defense that was already playing pretty good, and then now you got Del Rio being able to get some of the pieces that he likes to use and the hybrid linebacker, safety, hybrid linebacker, D line. So I honestly can't wait to see what this team is going to have dialed up on defense. And I definitely agree with you. They're going to have to get off to a fast start. I was looking at the schedule the other day talking to somebody, and my opinion, they should be able to win the first 3 out of 4. I got the only loss in the first 4 games against Buffalo and Buffalo, but they can get off to a good start and get things going in the right direction. And like you say, get a lead and let this defense do what it does. It's going to be a very interesting season.
Yeah, and again, you have a team that won't give up on the coach. Without getting too political about it, the only thing that really scares me is the issue with the COVID vaccine, and so many players not wanting to take it when you have a coach who's recovering from cancer. Again, not to politicize it, but I feel like we may lose a game or two to COVID.
Well, they're actually above the threshold now. They're at, I believe I read they're at like 88% vaccinated now. Coach said that folks have been getting educated. They up their numbers from the 50% they were, and they're actually at like 88% vaccinated right now. So now
Oh, that's great. Last I looked, they were just barely below 70. So that's great to know.
Yeah, they actually went about. I think it was this past weekend where I guess some more of the guys got vaccinated. So now they can, be in the same meeting rooms and, still had the precautions. But now that since they got above the 85% threshold, now they're, can actually have their meetings together and do the stuff like other teams are doing now. So coach said that, more folks are getting educated, more folks are getting vaccinated. There's still some folks that still, saying it's a personal choice, but nobody's forcing anybody to do anything. They're just, getting educated and figuring out that's the best thing for the team moving forward. So I'm definitely glad to hear that also, because I was worried about them having to possibly forfeit a game when it was at like 50%. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and knowing our luck over the last few years, we'll end up forfeiting a game that was easily winnable. Not that any game in the NFL is easily winnable, but we're not going to forfeit against Tampa Bay. We're going to forfeit against freaking Cincinnati or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about if you heard Deron's Payne. He had a press conference. I think it was either today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday, and he said it's 2 teams that he's focused on matching up against this year: Tampa and Kansas City. He said Tampa because we gave up 500 yards, so we left a lot of plays on the field, and a lot of calls that the refs didn't call on the field. What did you take away from those comments from Duran that he still remember that game from last year and he's looking forward to
it's a change in culture because it's been a while since we've had a team that's like, yo, we remember that last loss, let's go in there and do something about it and come out and start strong. Like in the past it'd be just another day. I remember when the San Francisco 49ers were swimming in the pond. And Larry Michael's like, this team's gonna remember. And they didn't really remember, you know what I'm saying? This last time we played them, I mean, we dog walked them a little bit, but that team just never had that type of urgency. They never really cared like that. So to hear a player say, yo, I remember last year, and we are looking forward to it. You don't antagonize the GOAT, you know what I'm saying? But it's great to hear. And it's great to hear from somebody who has the ability to back it up. Like you hear from the 4th string wide receiver, it's like, come on, bro. But a guy like Deron Payne saying it, you know that means in that game he's going to be giving his all.
So we ain't had a chance to talk. I know we got our guys for Olympics already waiting.
Well, no. I actually have a thing I wanted to talk. This is actually Jesse, and I want to introduce you guys to him. He's actually really into football as well. He has his own Twitch channel, so I thought that he could chop it up a little bit with you guys even before we got into Olympics talk, because he was messaging me. He's like, well, I love football. I was like, oh, well, that's great. So I thought he could give a 49ers perspective, which I thought would be interesting as well before we got into the Olympics talk. But
what's up, y'all?
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
What's up, Carol? What's up, Hurt? How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good. So how's things going out there in the Bay Area? I know y'all had a lot of off-season things going on out there also. Fill us in on what's going on with the
Actually, I'm in LA, but been a Niner fan my whole life since I was about 7 years old. So, still sticking on. But yeah, obviously the biggest scoop out here is the battle between Jimmy G and Trey Lance, right? Like everyone's like, okay, we got the hot shot rookie, for as much grief as Jimmy gets, he's still pretty damn solid, and he's still a winner. His, based on his record, he's a winner. Obviously his thing has been staying healthy, right? And that's, if he had been healthy the 2 years that he was hurt, who knows, right? He took us to the Super Bowl. I mean, shit, not a lot of quarterbacks can say that. So I still got faith in him. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people might not. They might be like, "Oh no, we need something young. We need someone with a bigger arm." I mean, dude, Jimmy's not. He's not. He's not peanuts. You know what I mean? Like he can do it, and I think Trey Lance could learn a lot. You know what I mean? And like I said, Jimmy G actually, he was making $25 million a year. That's pretty cheap for a quarterback nowadays. So that's why I think we'll roll with him this year.
Yeah, definitely. It's always good to have a young quarterback take some time and learn the game, especially coming from college to the NFL. That's why I always say it's hard to get that one kid that you can throw out there off the break that's going to be ready for the NFL game, the NFL pace, and the NFL defenses coming out of college. So I think it's always wise to give them time to get acclimated before you just throw them into the fire.
Yeah, and he went to North Dakota State. You know what I mean? I know they're good for Division III or Division II or whatever they are. But man, that's North Dakota State, man. You're talking about the big boys over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like him. I think he's gonna be great. But I think, like you said, he needs a good year at least to like learn under a good pro like Jimmy G.
No doubt. Big Hurt. I was going to ask you about the Jonathan Allen extension, and you mentioned a couple of guys on the D line that's going to be in line for a payday. I'm thinking they're definitely going to, extend Deron Payne once his 5th-year extension, and they're going to redo Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Do you think? I'm thinking Tim Settle might be the odd man out, and you still have Ioannidis. I believe he already signed the contract extension. I believe, so don't have to worry about him. But how did you feel about that signing, and who do you think is going to be the next one to get locked up on the D line to continue to try to keep this front together?
Well, it just doesn't make any sense for anyone for Deron Payne, like the way the NFL contract is structured, it doesn't make any sense for him to sign an extension until next year. I mean, I would love for him to do it now, but it just doesn't make any real sense. But you got to get Deron Payne back, and you have the luxury of either going Ioannidis or Tim Settle. Ioannidis being the obvious choice, but the truth of the matter is, he's a little injury prone, and some other stuff like he just gets hurt a lot. Big Tim Settle's he's there, he's decent, he's a good change of pace, but he doesn't get the pressure that Ioannidis or Tim or Jonathan Allen or Payne gets. The thing about Jonathan Allen is he's also a leader in the locker room, so signing him to a long-term deal sends a signal to the rest of the team. Like, this guy, locker room leader, comes in, does the right things, says the right things. He just got locked up. If I do the right things, say the right things also, I'm going to get what I'm worth. I do think that Deron Payne might be in to get a little bit more than Jonathan Allen ends up getting, which could be a problem. I just think he's been a better player. And, people point to Ioannidis' stats, but, those stats are going to look different when he's playing every snap. He's getting hit every play. And especially with him being injury prone, he's a good change of pace back. So to get him signed is great. Your next priority is Deron Payne. Of course, your next priority is Chase Young, but we have a few years to wait on that. Montez Sweat as well. Ioannidis and Tim Sell can both be the odd man out because you're still going to have to sign. You have young safeties. You don't have a cornerback that has to get locked up yet, but the hope is that one of these guys are going to have to get locked up. And the truth is, the better this defensive line is, the easier the job is for the cornerbacks. It's easier to plug and play just about any cornerback in, because the front line's getting it done.
Exactly.
And the Redskins of old, the Washington football team of old focused too much on the back end and not the front end.
Yeah, it's definitely a new day. And I love the fact that the back end now is so talented, and with depth right now, there's going to be some tough cuts due to the talent that they have back there with Cam Curl. They say Collins is having a good camp. They say you signed Bobby McCain. They say the third round pick St. Just is playing very well on the outside, where they actually might put Kendall Fuller at his strong suit, which is the slot.
Yeah, if Kendall Fuller gets to go back to nickel, that defense might be a problem because he was never a great outside corner. Not here, not the few times they lined him up in Kansas City. He's a great nickel. You just can't overpay them. But if you have the luxury of putting him at nickel and running nickel, it's yeah.
Man, I can't wait to see. All right, let's get ready to. I gotta ask you what you're gonna be looking for Thursday night. Coach said that the ones are going to get in there, get some go. He wanted to see Fitzpatrick have some command of the offense, and the offense, dictate the pace. And he wanted to see what the defense is going to look like going up against somebody else. So, what do you be looking for on Thursday night?
I'm looking for effort. I'm looking for continuity. I'm looking for, timing. I don't expect Fitz to hit McLaurin for a 60-yard pass in the first play of the game, but I expect them to run some plays, some very generic plays. I expect them to look cleaner than it has in previous years. On the defense, I'm really hoping to see them really come out and make a statement. Like, yo, this is what everyone's going to have to deal with all year. I want them to get on as a unit. I want them to push. I want them to make quarterbacks look uncomfortable. I want them to pancake somebody. I want to see them hit somebody. I want to see that this team is showing us, their fans, their ticket holders, their ratings viewers, they're showing us like, yo, last year was not an anomaly. We're looking to improve and build on that.
Definitely, I agree. I'll be looking for the same things. Before I let you get out of here, what you got going on, Big Bert?
Well, I really wanted to come back and do a sports podcast this year, but really I've been focusing on my lymphedema channel. For those of you who don't know, I have a channel called Life versus Lymphedema. It's on YouTube. Use the voice function because lymphedema is a hard word. Life versus Lymphedema. It's searchable now. And I'm basically just bringing lymphedema, which is the disease it's the buildup of fluid in any limb. If you've ever seen somebody with a giant forearm or somebody with a gigantic leg, it's the buildup of fluid over time that gets infected. Some people were born with it. Situations like mine came from an actual basketball accident. I'm just bringing awareness to it. I went looking for answers. It took me 6-7 years to get properly diagnosed. And I'm finding there are hundreds and thousands of people in the nation who deal with it who don't know what it is because they haven't been properly diagnosed. And I made like 1 or 2 videos, and the people reaching out to me telling me they didn't know what they had or what they were dealing with was overwhelming. So all of my energy is going into that this year.
Sounds good, man. People need information, and glad to have you out there putting the information out there, and educating the folks and seeing what they can do to try to rectify the situation once they get properly diagnosed. That's the whole key right there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Hurt, send me a link to the channel when you get off of here, and I'll post it in my Twitch chat. And I've been watching it on YouTube, and but for some reason when I search my own channels, it's not popping up. But
Okay.
send me a link to it, and I'll let people know. But you are doing a good job with it. I saw some of your first videos got a bunch of views, so I know that people are interested in the subject. So I hope that you continue to bring light to it.
You know, funny quick story. I'd only had the channel up for about 3 or 4 days, and I'm going to a lymphedema clinic now to get treated. So I've been negotiating with them to film inside the clinic. So the director calls me with her boss and a couple of associates, all on like a conference call, and we're talking. And she's like, tell us about the channel and tell us about the link. And I'm sending it to them, and she goes, "Wow, your channel has 54 followers. My channel has 2 followers." I'm like, I have 54 followers? Because the last time I checked, I had like 14. And I had no idea that I had 50 followers until she told me. She's like, 54 followers in 3 days is great. I'm like, it sure is. I had no idea. So the channel's getting some traction.
Yeah, so send me that link because I don't know why it's not popping up for me. Also, add it. You should pin it on your Facebook page so that way people could find it on the link section. So
Yeah, you know what? I'll do that. But part of the reason I started this channel was because I got tired of talking about the issue on
right,
Facebook.
But I agree. But so just have the link right at the top, and then if they
that
don't,
needs to happen. You're absolutely right. That I need to probably change my bio since I'm not doing a football podcast this year.
Right. But anyway, no, just my 2 cents, but just to make it easier for people to find it. So
no, you're absolutely right. I'll do that. I'm actually do that right now. Great advice.
There you go. That's what I'm here for. I'm giving advice, and I appreciate you joining us. For people who don't know, it's Hurt's been with us for a really, really long time. It was our first producer, and I really appreciate him for joining us as always.
Man, I love what you guys have taken. I love what you guys have taken this brand and turned it into. I love that I go to all types of corners of the internet, and people know who the Sports on the Hill podcast is. I love it.
Hey, man, appreciate it, bro. Like you said, without you, we would have never got to start, man. So, as always, we appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time out. We definitely going to try to have you back on next week to recap what we saw, see what your schedule looking like, see if we can get you back on. If not next week, the following week, because we got 3 preseason games. So, definitely going to chop it up some more. Appreciate you taking the time, man.
All right, man. Y'all take it easy.
All right.
All right, Robbie, I see you got your Olympic panel in the waiting, so I'm going to go ahead and get ready to turn my cam off and let y'all break down these Olympics and sit back and see what you guys got to talk about.
Yeah, so I'm going to introduce both of these guys first, and then I'll bring in our normal team. And Carol, I think your mic is still on. Anyway, yeah, so first, the TheLeonLounge.
What's up?
How are you doing? It's nice to see you.
Yeah, man, doing good, man. Glad to be here. I love talking sports, man. So I do,